This podcast is meant to inform, entertain, and occasionally stir the pot in a good way. The opinions expressed are our own, shaped by personal experience and thoughtful research. They may not reflect everyone's views, and we may even offend you. We're just a couple of humans doing our best to advocate, educate, and elevate, one episode at a time. Yours truly, The Bark. P.S. Please don't sue us.
Hey guys, Megan here.
Candy?
We are The Bark. Welcome back. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple minutes.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and hello, Monkey.
Monkey's joining us for the day.
Oh, Candy, tell us about Monkey a little before we do anything else.
Monkey is my foster. She came from Memphis and now she's in Middle Tennessee looking for her home. She's very sweet and everything. She gets a little extra excited when she sees new dogs and everything. So we're working on that. But otherwise, she's potty trained. She's not a chewer. She's super sweet. Her name is actually Willow Ember.
It just doesn't have the same ring to it.
But we call her Monkey because at home she follows you everywhere. And then as soon as you sit down, like normally she's right next to you and wanting to cuddle. I think she's a little bit out of her element today. She doesn't get out of the house very much other than into the backyard. So she's extra excited and she's out of breath because she just has not settled yet. But typically she is.
Oh, she's just, Monkey. I'm excitable too. It's fine. Also, she came from Memphis.
Yes.
That's very ambiguous.
Oh, sorry. Memphis Animal Shelter.
Oh, no. I mean, like, does she have a story?
She was found as a stray and she had such bad mange. I mean, I have pictures. I don't think anybody wants to see those pictures, but just imagine a dog that doesn't have its fur and the skin is inflamed and pink. She was like that all over to the point that I was told she could barely open her eyes. Like it was almost to the point where she could not open her eyes anymore because she was just inflamed all over.
You would never know that from looking at her now.
No, she had she went to another foster first who helped her through treatment. Then once the treatment was done and she was pretty steady, she came to me, and mange takes a while. The skin is irritated for months after. And now her fur has grown all in. I used to put her in sweaters over the winter because she didn't have her full fur. And she didn't mind it. She liked the sweaters, but now she doesn't need them and she's been doing great.
Oh, good. Well, we love Monkey. Yeah, I'm so glad you brought her. So we're here. This episode's going to be a little different. We are going to bring you guys up to speed on some of the things we've been working on.
We've had a pause because we've been working behind the scenes on so many.
I know.
I want to say little things, but they're not even little.
You know what? That is like a great. But to other people they may seem little. Yeah. Like I think just the nature of this work too is like what may look seemingly small or meaningless actually is not.
It takes a lot of figuring things out, then regrouping, then this and that. It's like a research project. By the time you come down to it, it's only a few pages long, but how much time did it take you to build up all that research and then put it together into what you want to present?
Right. And by the way, this is before AI, guys.
Right.
So just pretend, all the research before we had those tools.
Yeah.
Okay, before we dive in as well, first of all, you can find the show if you're watching on YouTube. You can find it at lawsavingpaws.org/thebark. You can find it on YouTube, obviously, if you're watching this. And all of your favorite streaming apps. Just visit our Linktree link on our webpage. Follow us on social media, all the things. You can donate directly to this. It's just a little bit of a different humane education initiative that, and like I said, it's more for our newer listeners, but it's so hard for the things we talk about to summarize them in a social post in a 10-second conversation. So this is kind of our platform to really elaborate.
Right. And we're trying to educate. I mean, if you watch our other episodes, we've talked about heartworms. We've talked about hunting with dogs. We were talking about lots of things. But let's catch everyone up to speed about laws versus ordinances, maybe.
Well, okay. Before we dive in, Candy kind of knows this. Maybe I want to play a game.
Yes, that's right.
This is my favorite. I love playing games where Candy has no idea she's about to play them.
I'm a spot.
Well, fine. This is a little playful. So it's a game of would you rather.
Right. Okay.
And so I'm just going to ask you a few questions. Would you rather do this or that?
Got it.
And it's just a fun way to dive back into things. Okay, so we will start with question one, Candy.
Okay.
Would you rather spend a week working undercover at a puppy mill?
Oh, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or spend a week answering angry Facebook comments from irresponsible breeders?
Oh my gosh. I'm just imagining the smell at the puppy mill.
Ooh,
That's a tough one for me. But I do also want to be there with the puppy so like I can take care of you while I'm here kind of deal.
yeah.
And then answering angry face. I feel like, you and I want to say, oh, nobody listens. That's not true. You and I have taken a soft approach where we have turned people's opinion because we approach it very kindly.
Because we don't yell at them.
We don't yell at them. We don't disgrace. We don't name call, and we just respond with, fact and experience and science and research. So that's a. I'm still not answering your question.
No, you're fine. You're
can
not
I,
answering it though. You're right.
can I say I would rather be answering the breeders because there were no puppy mills at the time. Can I opt for that one?
Sure. And you know what? That answer is not surprising to me because my answer would be the opposite.
Okay.
Candy and I, if you don't know anything about us, are like polar opposites.
We are.
Candy knows this.
Yeah.
I am a sensitive soul. I can't even respond to one angry Facebook comment without it taking years off my life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I opt for number one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But okay, so number two, would you rather get one animal welfare law passed in every state?
Okay.
Or would you rather get one animal welfare law perfectly enforced in every state?
Oh. Okay. So
It's like quality over quantity kind of a thing, you know?
I think honestly, um, I think the true dichotomy of that is not one in every state and then one perfectly in the one state. I think the opposite would be several in one state.
Mm,
And I would say the several in one state because once you get that moving, then it's other states pick up on the best practices and it's easier for
yeah.
them to adopt. So
I should have saved this question for last because it
okay.
would have been a perfect segue into our
Oh,
conversation, but it's okay.
okay.
We're not perfect. No, that's a great point. And we will talk a little bit more about that soon.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so number three, would you rather know exactly how to solve animal overpopulation? Or would you rather know exactly how to change public behavior?
I think no, there's no changing public behavior. This is, I feel like I'm picking apart your questions, but that one I'm like,
Yes,
no,
it's okay.
sorry.
I expected nothing less.
Option A. It's option A.
It's true though, because I think, what at least brings me peace, and I don't know about you, it's just sometimes you have to just surrender to the idea that you're not going to change everyone's mind. It's never going to be a perfect system.
In my upbringing, one thing that my grandmother always said when I was, frustrated with something, or there was, we all go through tough situations, is we live in an imperfect system.
Yeah.
We're not going to get to perfection, but if each of us has, I shouldn't say each of us, a lot of us has a cause or causes that are near and dear to our life. And I certainly feel that if you do have those things that are heartfelt to you, focus on those.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, if I can get that one thing right, I want to do that.
Right. Yep. No, exactly. It's just, well, hello. Okay.
Tell her, good job.
All right, let's just relax. Okay. So, well, that's great. No, thank you. And so, that was fun.
Yes.
And kind of like I teased earlier, so we are going to, bring us up to speed, bring everyone up to speed a little. And Candy, what did you say earlier about the ordinance versus state law? You want to talk?
Let's talk there.
Yeah.
Because I think that we know what's going on behind the scenes. but we had to go through this as well. Monkey Roo.
Oh my gosh.
We went through this as well, where we were talking about, I've lobbied before for state legislation, and I think we all think that that's where we have to start, and it's going to be a big mission, and we can't get there. And yeah, when you're trying to pass a law, it is a huge mission and it takes time. But one thing that we're learning is that, oh my gosh, one thing that we're learning is sometimes when you make small steps, those small steps turn into bigger steps later. And
Yes.
so what we've started to do is look at local ordinances, look at areas that where it would help them to pass a local ordinance to deal with an immediate need. And Megan, I think you said it best the other day, where the tricky thing about passing a law is the sessions are we're only in session. The House and the Senate are only in sessions for part of the year. And then if they do decide to pass a law, you have to wait until they're ready to implement the law and they get everything in order.
Mhm.
Ordinances don't require that. You go in front of that city's board or that county's board, you talk about it, they study it, and then if they so choose to implement it, it can be implemented whenever they
And they
decide.
could amend it. And
Exactly.
sometimes, based on a conversation I did have with someone, though, they did say, there are times when an ordinance that it could take longer to get an ordinance passed, but it really just depends on, I guess, the desire of the local government. They
Right.
kind of manage that timeline.
Right.
But it's like, when you go to the state level, you have to find someone to sponsor that. It's got to work its way through the houses. I mean, and then it sits
Right.
for a long time.
Right.
So, yeah, that's why, I mean, the ordinance work is really important. And even if, you live in an area and you're like, well, I don't know if that's what we need. We need a state law. We need something more serious. And what we've learned also from our conversations is that, and you said it earlier, Candy, is that you want to create almost like just a pattern. You want to create influence where the more municipalities or areas that have an ordinance gives the state a bigger reason to regulate that at a state level.
Right.
So it just
Perfectly
shows,
said.
yeah. So then that's, we're talking about that a little because we've been focusing a lot on the ban of selling public animals, selling animals in public
Yeah.
spaces. And honestly, I have been surprised by the amount of people who, and not in a negative way, but they're like, "What's the big deal?" And they're
Right.
not, these people. I'm friends with them. They just don't know. And then
Right.
I explain it, and they're like, "Oh, like
Yeah.
all of the
Can
impacts."
can you break it down here for us?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very well. How long do we
Yeah.
have?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why is it a big deal? Like, some people selling it's because they had an oopsie litter. Some people selling they're selling pretty cheap, 100, 150, $200, and then they're going back to get their to breed their dog again, and then they're
Mhm.
selling again and again. And
Mhm.
it's like they're making that profit. So can you break down to us what that means for somebody who
Yeah,
doesn't
of
know?
course. So, and I will say there are folks who even, sit in, if you go to a flea market, they'll sell their animals for thousands of dollars.
Right.
It's not, we like to tell people, basically, if you see anyone selling animals in an open space like that and not inviting someone out to their property, that's a red flag.
Right.
I don't care how much the dog
We've
is.
talked about that in another episode because Patricia McDonald wrote one of my favorite books, which is The Other End of the Leash,
Mm.
and she's a behaviorist and a biologist. And one part of the book, she talks about if you are going to buy a puppy, and I know some people want to buy puppies because they want them to grow up with their kids and make that have that connection, and they don't want them to have any behavior issues, and they don't want X, Y, and Z. They want to know the temperament, all this and that. So what Patricia says is go to where the parents are being bred. Make sure that the dog's not being bred in a puppy mill because they will come out with a lot of issues. I've heard lots of trainers talk about puppy mill bred dogs will have issues. Not only that, meet the parents. If
Mhm.
they are aggressive, if they just have certain
Mhm.
characteristics, if they have physical impairments, you have
Mhm.
to take that into consideration. So buying a dog on the side of the road or at a flea market or this or that,
Mhm.
that's why that's a red flag is because you're missing the
Yep.
environment.
And I will say, I've seen a lot of people selling in parking lots, who have actually brought out the mother pup, or they
Yeah.
bring them with it, and that's not enough nowadays. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, irresponsible breeders have gotten really creative.
Yeah.
They're smart. Really, they should be entrepreneurs. And I wish,
And focus
I
on
wish.
another product.
Yes, right. But anyways, yeah, really quick to answer your question too. I mean, it's really health, economic, safety impacts, right? We'll start with economic. The more animals that are brought into your community, the more resources you're going to need to take care of them. If you're in an area with a shelter, that
Right.
shelter is going to need resources and funding to expand, just more medicine to take care of them, maybe more staff. I mean, it's just you need resources to take care of the
Right.
amount of animals you have.
People assume that when somebody has purchased a dog, they're not going to dump it. That dog will not end up in a shelter, and that's not true.
Right, right. It'll end up in someone's shelter, and
Yeah.
that's the thing too. That's why we need ordinances and that extend countywide, because people drive from in other areas to do this activity. They find the vulnerable communities.
Right.
So that's really economic. As well as, so let's talk
Well,
about.
the other economic piece is most of these people are not a legitimate business and therefore not paying taxes on the money they're
Yes,
making.
that's a good
And
point. Yep, that's a good
that
point.
impacts all of us. They're
Yep.
not pay they're causing more cost to that
Mhm.
county, but they're not paying into the system
Yes.
either.
Yes. And, a lot of the times, like Candy mentioned earlier, they come with illnesses that may not even be detectable at the time of the sale.
Right.
And, we won't go into Sully's story right now, but,
That's an impact on the buyer.
absolutely, buyers, they're spending thousands of dollars trying to, get this puppy back to a good health. And they're not many, if you're purchasing a puppy in a parking lot, many times, not all the time, but many times, these folks may not be in a financial position to be able to give that medical treatment to the dog, which
Right.
is why they end up surrendering or dumping,
Right.
or
Yeah.
it's a
So
big messed up.
we'll get into Sully's story later, but as an
Yeah.
example, basically, she was a dog purchased for under $200, and ended up costing that family thousands of dollars.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I should not to blame her; it was not her fault, but the situation caused a huge
Mhm.
um, impact to the wallet,
Yes.
basically.
Yes.
So
An unprepared thing. And we'll say also that there's human behavior, there's so much research about this, but impulsively buying, like that's
Yeah.
a thing. That's a thing we do. Like, you ever go to Target when it's that.
whatever TJ Maxx, whatever's in the aisle, as
Oh
you're waiting to
my gosh. And I'm such a sucker, but like, people, like, that's very intentional.
yes,
It's very, very intentional. And when you're impulse buying, if something
I'm a
like a
marketing
dog.
major, so
Yeah, this is marketing.
yeah,
Yeah, when you're impulsively buying, oftentimes you are not adequately prepared to take care of whatever you're buying, unless it's like a dish towel. So,
yes,
okay, so economic health, just some of the
health,
diseases that
yes.
maybe they come with that can be
Parvo
transferred
and
to.
distemper in the
Mhm.
last few years have been spreading, have been impacting shelters. And the thing is that these illnesses, let's say that monkey, she does not, but let's say that you had gotten parvo, and I took her to a dog park. That goes into the soil. It
Mhm.
infects the soil and everything. So then
Mhm.
other people, so um I that's what you have to remember, like, when people are transporting these dogs or bringing them to a gas station or something to sell, and they've got their puppies sitting there, if those puppies are sitting there and they're infected with parvo, it's gonna infect that soil, it's gonna
Mhm.
infect that ground, that area, and then
For a
when
year, I think it's a really
it's a
long
long
time.
time. It's not like,
Yep.
"Oh, it's infected for the day, and the next time it rains, it goes away." It's
Mhm.
not like that.
Right.
So, it gets down into the soil, and then you're on a road trip, your dog needs a potty break and gets out and could be vaccinated, or maybe they're at the end where or maybe they're a little bit overdue,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
and then here's the other thing, there's vaccination and there's carrying. So some people
Mm.
are vaccinated against I shouldn't say people, animals are vaccinated against something, but they're exposed to it. So it doesn't impact them because they're vaccinated maybe, but they can carry.
Yeah.
If she
Yeah.
walks through a patch of parvo laden mud,
Yep.
And then I bring her home and I have a brand new foster who's not yet vaccinated because they just arrived to my home.
Yep. Yep.
There can be some cross
Right.
contamination.
She'll be fine.
She'll be fine.
Not that other dog. Yep.
Right.
Oh my gosh, you are not a lap dog.
Man.
So yeah, and third, what do we talk? Public safety.
Yes.
I mean, and one of the things I think about too is a lot of times when you're not, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't need that. When we're not responsibly breeding, you may, a lot of times people may be breeding aggressive dogs with aggressive traits.
That's the
and
other part that Patricia McDonald mentioned in her book is go meet the parents because yes, you might walk up to the mom and if she growls, that's not a good sign.
Yep.
Even if
Yep.
and any aggression in the parent can be passed down through genetics and any aggression I've seen that speaking to people where they said I have puppies in my home and then I have an aggressive dog and I keep them separated but when the puppies walk up to the crate where the aggressive dog where the I think it was like a dog gate where the aggressive dog is at that dog will growl at the puppies. Is that okay? And the behaviorists are like, no, even those small exposures to aggressiveness and poor behavior can impact puppies and teach them those poor behaviors. So that's why you want to go to that home. Is it clean? Is it a puppy mill or is it a legit breeder?
Yeah.
What are the behaviors of the parents? What are the behaviors of the other pets in the home?
Yeah, and okay, I haven't mentioned blackfish in a really long time.
Yeah.
Okay, I should get an award for that. But listen, not Keiko, Tilly the whale that killed many people. The whale, they bred him. He had an aggressive gene, and there's like a lovely diagram of a documentary where they show all the whales that were, in the offspring. And so that gene was in all these different whales, and like killer whales started attacking. Like we're not going to get into that, but I'm just saying it spreads.
But we see it in people too.
Yes.
We see angry people come from angry parents sometimes. So, and it's the whole psychologists have studied this for years. What is environment and what is genetics?
Yep.
And sometimes it's both. Sometimes things skip a generation and sometimes it's passed along. And that's why you want to see the source.
Yes. And so also with the public safety, and this is kind of an indirect effect, but again, the more animals you have for the amount of resources to take care of it, you're going to have like we see in Memphis, you're going to have a stray animal population, and that becomes tragic. We've been beginning to see because there's no room, and this is going to open up a big can of worms. So I'm going to be careful about the way I say it. Let's just say though, there are animals that are left on the streets or roaming because there's no, there are areas with no shelters. There are areas that have zero resources, and what on earth are you supposed to do to the animal?
Being in rescue, I've seen where people will drive to a more rural area and dump a dog that they have adopted, and we told them if the dog ever needs to be rehomed, you come back to us. And instead of coming back, they went, oh, I'll just go dump them by a farm. The farmer will find them and then they'll be la-di-da. And that's not how it works. And that
sounds like a Full House episode.
Right. And that's funny. And that is why the more rural areas tend to be impacted more because there's also nobody to see me dump the dog. Because there's
a lot of, I know, and they need our, we're coming. Right. We want to help you.
Versus here in Nashville, if you dump a dog, 20 people are going to see you do it, and then somebody's going to hunt you down.
Yeah. So no, that's a great point, and it's just we have to continue reminding ourselves that there are areas that have nothing.
Yes.
You can hold on to that.
Okay.
Do you want to leave it? You can just lead us. Do you want to?
Sure. Okay, so let's move ourselves along. So let's talk about the ordinance. Do you want to talk specifically to Columbia?
I'll just say because I want to be careful about talking too much about it, but let's just say we're focusing on Columbia, one, because I live there. LSP started there. It's kind of our home base. And I love my community.
Right.
And so we started there. We have learned a lot.
Yes.
It's been truly.
I think there have been some responses in your community, just looking at some of the responses, and some people are like they don't really understand it.
Mhm,
But then overwhelmingly, I think people support it, number one, and number two,
mhm,
those who are more aware, like the dog trainer who commented, made a
mhm.
really great statement as to why this is so important.
Right, right. Yeah, so it's yeah,
Yeah,
it's been a journey.
yeah. And we'll have updates later, but right
We will.
now you've presented the ordinance and it's under study
Yep, it's
in
on.
Columbia.
Yep, yep. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens. And regardless of what happens, I mean, this is something again we feel very prepared about bringing to different communities, and not just I want to make sure people understand it's not like we're entering communities who have no interest in it. We want to make sure, hey, is this something you are interested in? What does the landscape look like where you are?
Right. And
What can we do to
just a
help
reminder,
you?
this is a no public pet sales ordinance.
Hmm.
So if you're watching this and you live in another community outside of Columbia, um, I will say Smyrna has this ordinance. Um, oh
Do they? No,
no,
they
they
have the
don't.
retail ban.
Nashville has it. Franklin has
I
it.
think Jackson has it.
Okay.
There's a few. I
There's a few.
forgot. I
Yeah.
keep forgetting it, to be honest.
Okay.
But and we will say part of this, it's only as effective as the enforcement of it,
Right.
right? But part of this is again, you kind of have to find that balance because that. Whoop, um, so there's that key piece, but also like we talked about earlier, momentum
Yeah.
for a state to recognize, like, oh, this is important.
Yeah.
We need things on the books.
Yes.
So
Yes. So, if you are in another area that you see a lot of public pet sales, I would say let us know. Contact us because we would be interested in helping those areas where constituents are concerned about this problem.
yep.
We also have our oh my gosh, she's learning a new game. We also have that event tracker on our website. So if you see somebody selling pets by the side of the road, please go to our website and report it in there because one thing that would be more helpful when we speak to legislators or public officials is letting them know how often this really happens.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up because report posting isn't reporting.
Right. Right.
You call yes, go to our website to help us. That's going to help us compile data a lot easier. It's our incident report map on lostsavingpaws.org.
Yeah.
But call the non-emergency police number.
Mhm.
They will very likely tell you they can't do anything about it.
Okay.
The only
Right.
thing probably they could do is issue something, a citation for not having a business license.
Right.
So
Which is fine.
yeah,
If that deters backyard
they won't do it.
raiders,
That's the thing. They won't.
oh,
Law enforcement won't do that,
yeah.
and that's because of a larger systemic problem.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, even though law enforcement may not do anything about that, we need data. There
Yes.
is no data without an official police report.
Right.
That's all.
Right.
I mean, it
And each
takes
incident
2 minutes.
represents several puppies going into
Yes.
the pet population system.
Yes. Candy, remind us your
Yes.
favorite statistic was
There's a
67,000.
67,000.
Oh, the one
Oh.
unspayed female in 6 years. In 6 years, the offspring produced
Yes.
67,000 puppies.
Yes, because of then out of those offspring, how many are each of them producing, and then out of their
Yep.
so and so so on.
When
and so
I
on.
mentioned that in the city council meeting, I literally heard someone go,
Yeah, yeah. And we came here to film, and I bumped into somebody, and I told him, yeah, I told him about Monkey, and I told him, yeah, we're here to. She's a rescue dog. She's my foster. I'm like, oh, can you help me with my dog who's pregnant? It's huskies, and I'm like, how did that
wait,
happen?
this just happened?
This just happened. I forgot to tell you about it earlier, but it just happened at the food truck, and and I just was like, you're just trying not to, you're
It's
talking
hard.
about helping people's behaviors, and you just want to come
Yeah,
on.
it's
And he's
hard.
like, oh yeah, she got out. I'm like, no, 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 no. You're her guardian.
Yeah, I just don't think people don't understand the impact.
No.
And they're gonna learn.
Yeah.
So Anywho, but yeah, I mean, that kind of sums up the Columbia thing. We want to definitely, we believe in the power of this. Oh, and consumer protection is a really big thing to note
Yes.
because I want to make clear, number one, this will not, the ban on the sales in public spaces will not solve our animal crisis. It is
No.
not going to reduce our numbers a ton. It's not,
It'll reduce it some.
but but the thing is, it's hard to track that
Right.
because shelters, for instance, and I've spoken to many people about this, you don't really know unless you are specifically getting those animals from parking lots, like you are going there or someone brings them in and said, I was just trying to sell these, I found them in the parking lot. You know what I mean? Unless you were told that, like if you pick an animal up in a field, you don't know that it was dumped from a parking
Right.
lot. That's an assumption.
Right.
We just know the trending behavior. It
Right.
is. So we have created data to support that cycle, but it's very hard to track data, that shelter data that is specifically tied
To
to
public.
public parking lot sales.
Yes.
So yeah, big. So because of that, the consumer protection aspect of this is very important.
Right.
You're not going to let someone sell produce that is infecting the community.
Right. And that's the difficult part. If you go to a farmer's market, even then you can come back and say, look, that produce made me really sick. You need to know this.
Hmm.
And then you can track that person down. If you buy a dog from the side of the road, you might never see that person again. And what are you going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's the part when you've got thousands of vet bills later because they gave you a sick dog or that dog infected
Yep.
your dogs at home or whatever. You're not going to see that person again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I'm so glad we talk about this because until, a law isn't going to fix everything, ordinances are not going to fix everything. So in the meantime, we need to educate people to protect themselves.
right.
If nothing else is going to protect them, at least feel empowered enough to protect yourself,
It's like some people, you'll go buy something on marketplace, maybe some plants or whatever. But
Mhm.
people, when they are looking to buy like an electronic, they're like, "There's no warranty, there's no guarantee. This is a hit or miss."
Yeah.
That's what's happening with dogs. There's
Yeah.
several hits or misses with
Yeah.
buying on the dog on the side of the road. And what you don't want to perpetuate it is then that person's going to go back home and make more dogs to be sold by and
Yeah.
more and more and
Yeah.
more. And it's just
Yep.
fueling the
And they've
population.
exploited it, because I don't want to put the people who truly were trying to do their best. Our spay neuter was appointment is in 2 months.
Right.
We didn't secure our dog, but the problem is that a lot of backyard breeders or irresponsible breeders are now calling their
advantage.
litters and they're saying, oh yeah, it was accidental.
Right.
I mean,
And there's people who and the people are like, well, if you ban public pet sales, then what happens when somebody has an oopsie litter? That's what shelters are for. That's what rescues are for. And the cops can go, and if that person has never been cited before, never even
mhm,
received a warning,
mhm.
then okay, let me just educate them. Let me get them some help.
Yeah.
If they've done it before and before and before, then you see the trend of where these people are just trying to make money.
Right, right,
So
right. And like Candy, you just said that's what shelters and rescues they are there as a resource for people who really need their help. And we will say this could get better or this could get a little worse before it gets better.
yeah.
But you need to take this step to create space in those channels.
Right.
And it's not going to happen unless we disrupt the pattern.
Yeah.
So okay, how are we on time? Because we could talk a lot about that.
I know, and we're trying to hold back because we have more to come. But I think we can move on to. I think we have a top secret project that is on here.
Oh, is this why I shouldn't have given Candy my notes? Yeah, because
Yeah.
I forgot she can't read my mind
Yeah.
yet.
Yes.
Yeah, we have something that we've been working on for many months, and I really don't want to talk a lot about it. About what we're gonna do, but we are very excited about it.
So stay tuned is the point.
Stay tuned.
Pun intended.
Wait,
Like
because dogs stay.
Tuning
Oh.
sound.
Oh, yeah,
It's
no.
okay. It's all right.
Candy and I polar opposites.
Wow, polar opposites. All right. But again, just okay. Right now, all I'm going to say is the fastest way to help this mission grow with this passing ordinances and helping areas that need it is to share this episode.
Yes.
If you know somebody who because the other thing is you and I don't live in all the counties.
Mhm.
And the best way to get these ordinances considered is does
Mhm.
that county need it? And if
Mhm.
it does, you need constituents in that county to carry that
It would be
recommendation forward.
helpful. I know. Let me tell you. I mean, like I said, I in Colombia, for instance, like I'm very involved in our community. I love it. I love the people there. I love supporting the businesses. So, and I know how much that helped.
Yes.
It helped, and so we could do this without that. But it also doesn't feel authentic. Like we don't want to be this organization that goes in where we know no one and say,
Do this.
do this. Yeah,
No.
it's just that's not our MO. And so we are really seeking people who understand
Community.
they're comfortable talking to leadership and just kind of leading the effort. And we will support them. We'll support you as
Yes.
best we can. I mean,
Like we
we have
talked about
so many
earlier,
resources.
all the research that this took and understanding, and now we have a draft ordinance. So
Hmm.
now it's just sitting down with whoever needs the help and saying, okay, what's going on in your community? Here's what you need to do, and
Yep.
here's the wording. Boom, done.
Well, I
Instead
mean,
of
I will say it's a little.
it's more than that,
I just,
but but it's not like each county or city or area needs to start from scratch.
No, no, absolutely not.
So
And we'll set you up with a web page that you can drive people to. We will give you assets. We'll give you
right.
flyers. We will attend outreach events with you. We'll definitely walk you through it. It's
Yeah.
just not. We want it to feel as intentional as we possibly can.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think I know it was kind of a weird episode because I don't want to give
Too much away.
too much. And yeah, but the point is, like, I don't know about you, Candy. I'm so excited about this growth. And just I feel like there are more people who have kind of heard of us, and they see what we're doing and they want to be involved,
Yeah.
and
I feel
it
like
means a lot.
we're really picking up and starting to make the impact that this is why we're here.
Yeah, yeah, and so thank you guys for that, because truly, like I said, even if you talk about it in passing, I mean, like Candy said, just share, like sharing one social post, just sharing. It's we need just as much education as we do fosters. We need those efforts to be equal.
Yep.
So yeah,
That's it.
that's it. And
Good
yeah,
job,
for
Monkey.
more, yeah, Monkey did. Oh my gosh.
Made
It only took one episode. Wake up, are we that boring, Monkey?
She
Gosh.
was looking at you very intently earlier, and I think she's just calm now finally.
Oh,
So,
that's
but she made the
good.
episode interesting. So thank you, Monkey.
Yeah, and
Yeah, go ahead.
thank you guys for listening, watching, whatever you're doing. Yeah, follow us on social media. Visit lawsavingcause.org/thebark for more, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.